When most people think about training the hamstrings, the first exercise that probably comes to mind is something like leg curls. And while leg curls can have their place in a program, they only scratch the surface what the hamstrings are really designed to do. The hamstrings are so much more than just leg curling muscles. They also play a critical role in hip extension and stabilizing your knee and pelvis, making them a key player in almost every athletic and functional movement. Think sprinting, jumping, changing direction, or even lifting heavy. Your hamstrings are working hard behind the scenes to power you through these movements while also helping to prevent injuries. That's why in today's video, we're taking your hamstring training to the next level. I'm sharing 5 powerful, functional exercises that not only build strength, but also improve how your hamstrings work in real-life movement patterns. If you're looking to run faster, lift heavier, or stay strong and injury-free, these are the exercises you need in your routine. Let's get started. Before we dive into the exercises, I want to touch on 2 key concepts that are critical to effective hamstring training. First, the hamstrings are responsible for eccentric control. When you jump and land, your hamstrings put on the brakes and help to absorb force. Now during gait, when you're running or sprinting, your hamstrings put on the brakes to prevent excess forward motion at the knee. And then during the swing phase, it helps to control the forward swing of the leg and also helps to prevent the knee from hyperextending. And second, the hamstrings work concentrically, synergistically with the glutes, meaning that they team up to produce powerful hip extension during the upward or explosive phase of a movement. So for every exercise, make sure that you're thinking about slow and controlled on the way down and then quick and powerful on the way up, while also making sure that the glutes are doing their job. This combination not only builds strength, but also reinforces the functional relationship between the glutes and the hamstrings. All right, now that we've got the foundation down, let's get into the exercises. Exercise number 1 for functional hamstring strength is going to be the stability ball hamstring curl. All right, so for this move, you'll obviously need a stability ball, and you're gonna lay down on your back. And now from here, I want your legs at about a 90-degree angle. And then from here, what you're trying to do is do your best to keep your rib cage down towards the floor and push your lower back down towards the floor. Now from here, you're going to glute bridge up. So come all the way up, squeeze your glutes together tight, all right? So it's basically a glute bridge off a stability ball. And what this is doing is we're trying to work the hamstrings concentrically, synergistically with the glutes. So they're providing hip extension. So the hamstrings, glutes working together, going all the way up, you hold it there, and then you slowly, on the eccentric phase of the movement, you slowly lower the ball down until your legs are straight. And this whole time, I'm really thinking about keeping my hips up high, using my glutes, using my hamstrings, and not by using my lower back muscles. All right, and then from there, I maintain this straight line position, and then I slowly pull myself back up. And then I slowly lower back down. And then as I get more confident, I can pull the ball in a little bit faster. All right, but I'm getting a lot of stability at the knee, at the pelvis. I'm getting knee flexion, and I'm getting concentric synergistic action with the hamstrings and with the glutes. And that's why it's such a great catch-all movement to really isolate the hamstrings in a functional way. And you can see how much more dynamic stability is at play and how much more functional and athletic of a movement it is compared to a lying down leg curl or a prone leg curl or a seated leg curl, which takes out all the stability components and just solely focuses on the knee flexion component of the movement. Now, if you're doing this move, I like 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps, but it's a great addition to your functional hamstring strength routine. All right, exercise number 2 for functional hamstring strength is going to be the barbell Romanian deadlift. And now I know I said barbells, but you can use dumbbells, kettlebells, any implement along those lines. And I'm sure you've seen Romanian deadlifts online. And I feel like there's many different ways you can do it, where you can see people do it with more of a stiff-legged deadlift style. You see a lot of people doing it to emphasize the glutes now. So you see a lot of like constant tension, not fully locking out. But for today's purposes, I wanna go over how we coach it for functional hamstring strength. All right, so the first thing that you wanna establish is we don't like a stiff-legged deadlift for functional hamstring strength. We like a little bit of a knee bend. So I like to say about 20 degrees of knee bend. And then you wanna fix that position, lock that position into place, And then you're gonna shift your weight back and simultaneously lean your torso forward. All right, so every degree that your hips go back, I also want your torso to start leaning forward. You're gonna be in this position right here, this hip hinge position where my shins are fairly vertical, my weight is back, my weight is along the midfoot, and my torso is slightly forward with the neutral spine, all right? So this is the hip hinge position, and then you're gonna come back up. Now, tempo-wise, what I want you to focus on is slow eccentric control and then quick and powerful on the way up. So you're thinking about 4-second eccentric tempo, all right? So I'm gonna go 4, 3, 2, 1, and then right here at the bottom, I'm thinking about my hamstrings and glutes working together to produce powerful hip extension. All right, so let me show you with the barbell. You can grab the weight, and again, bend at the knee about 20 degrees. So bend here a little bit, and then from here, fix that knee position as I shift my weight back, bring my torso forward for a count of about 4 seconds. And then at the bottom, think about hamstrings, glutes, pushing into the floor, and then stand up tall. All right, one more time. Nice and slow. And then back up. All right, so this is just a great way to produce functional hamstring strength using just raw absolute strength. And so this is a great compound movement to produce that movement, and that's why it's number 2 of my functional hamstring strength series. All right, exercise number 3 for functional hamstring strength is going to be the 1 dumbbell single leg deadlift. All right, again, I know I said dumbbell, but you can use kettlebell, you can even use a barbell, any implement for the single leg deadlift. Now, the RDL was more of a strengthening raw absolute strength for functional strength for the hamstrings. The single leg deadlift is obviously going to be more of a stability, coordination, balance challenge for your hamstrings. All right, so what you're gonna do is set up really similarly. You're gonna grab the weight. This time I like to grab it in one hand because it adds more to the stability component, more to the core component. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna start off with the 20-degree knee bend again. And then from here, same rules apply. You lift this back leg up and you're sending your hips back while your torso leans forward. All right, so you're loading this single leg hip hinge pattern. And then you come back up. And again, I like all the same rules. About a 4-second tempo on the way down to work on that eccentric control, that single leg stability. And then I like to go up quickly, all right? And you might even see people do this movement where they come down and it feels natural for them to then drive up into a knee swing movement because it automatically correlates to the swing phase of gait, swing phase of locomotion, all right? But either way, you're coming down slowly, and then you're popping back up quickly. And again, we're getting eccentric control on the way down, we're getting stability at the knee, we're getting stability at the pelvis. It's preventing forward motion at the knee. We're getting concentric movement at the top using your glutes. So it's getting all those factors involved, and that's why it's so much more powerful than just laying down and doing a leg curl. So that's exercise number 3 of my functional hamstring curl series. All right, exercise number 4 for functional hamstring strength is going to be the Nordic curl. All right, the Nordic curl isn't for the faint of heart. This is a little bit later on in the list. The list isn't necessarily in order from least difficult to most difficult, but I did want to put it later on because this one is pretty brutal. And I didn't want you to start off with it and get discouraged because of how intense the movement is. All right, but let me just show it to you and walk you through it. What you're gonna do, and you can get it set up in a number of different ways. I like to use a mat or a pad, rolled up yoga mat, anything along those lines to protect the knees. And then from there, I like to hook my legs underneath, let's say a bench, or in this case, a dumbbell rack, or if you have a partner, they can hold on to the backs of your legs as well. But you're gonna wanna anchor yourself underneath something. All right, now from here, remember what we talked about before, we wanna work the hamstrings and glutes synergistically to get hip extension. All right, so right here, I'm getting my glutes engaged, I'm getting my hamstrings engaged, and I'm getting tall. So I don't want you to do this movement with a slight bend like this. For the purposes of the Nordic curl, I want you to get into a tall, hip extended position. And then from here, we're talking about eccentric control of the movement here, using your hamstrings. So I'm gonna stay tall, maintain abs, maintain glutes, maintain hamstrings, and lower down for a count of about 3 to 4 seconds, and then lower myself down. And then in this bottom position, I'm gonna push myself up while staying tall. I don't want you to push yourself up like this, where you kind of do this sort of bending backwards movement. I want you to stay tall throughout the eccentric and the concentric portion of the movement. All right, so let me show you one more time. I get up tall, and I slowly lower myself down, and then I push myself up, all right? Now there are freaks out there that can go all the way down extremely slowly, and then they literally lift themselves up without using the hands all the way back up. They have incredible hamstring strength, and usually they are very fast, very athletic. But for most people, they're gonna use a little bit of assistance using your hands. All right, so let me show you one more time. And when you're doing this movement, you're gonna feel your hamstrings just lock on, and then as you're contracted, you're getting a ton of eccentric stress. As you're lowering down, you're gonna feel a ton of pressure in the back of your legs. When you first start this, I would recommend 1 to 2 sets of 3 reps with about 2 to 3 second eccentric control, all right? As you get stronger and more proficient, you might wanna go 3 to 4 sets, 3 to 5 reps of around 3 to 5 second eccentric lower downs. All right, so this is just a great move. Again, we're getting eccentric control, we're getting stability at the pelvis, at the knee, concentric control, like we're getting a lot of different bang for your buck elements with this move, but it's very difficult, so make sure you work up to it. All right, my 5th and final exercise for functional hamstring strength is going to be sprinting. All right, so we've talked about hamstring curls, we've talked about RDLs, single leg RDLs, Nordic curls. All those are fantastic options for building functional hamstring strength. But when we're talking about the ultimate hamstring strength builder, we're gonna talk about sprinting, because nothing can replicate the eccentric forces and concentric forces that the speed and impact that sprinting offers. And the best part about sprinting is that it is very self-limiting, and it teaches you the correct form without ever having to really think about different types of cueing or instruction or things like that. You just go out on the track, or you go on a non-motorized treadmill like this, and you just start running and try to go faster and faster. And the form automatically starts to apply for itself. But there are 2 things that I want you to keep in mind when going over sprinting. And one is going to be how long you're sprinting for, and number 2 is going to be how long you're resting for. I feel like when people think about sprinting, they think about sprinting for 15, 20, 30 seconds at a time. And then when they think about rest periods, they think about 20, 30, 40-second rest periods. So they're sprinting for way too long and resting for way too short because they're trying to get a workout or HIIT effect, trying to burn calories, things like that. But when we're talking about true maximal sprinting, we're talking about 5 to 10 seconds max, and then resting quite a bit. So maybe 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 120 seconds. That's the only true way where you can get true output from your sprinting and get the quality of sprint that we're looking for, because we're not looking for a fast run or a tempo run. We want to look for maximal sprinting velocity, because that's going to get you the most amount of functional strength for the hamstrings. So again, we want to get your hamstring curls, your Romanian deadlifts, your Nordic curls, all that stuff as a baseline for your training, but you want to make sure you don't neglect your functional hamstring strength through sprinting. So make sure you include sprinting into your program, especially if you're an athlete or if you are very active in your everyday life. You want to make sure you include some level of sprinting, because we believe that's the ultimate expression of functional strength. All right, and that's it. These 5 hamstring exercises will help you to improve performance, build functional strength, and reduce your risk for injury. Incorporate some or all of them into your routine, and you'll feel the difference in no time. If you're ready to level up your training with a structured, flexible program, check out Rise. Delivered through our app, Rise gives you a fresh program every 4 weeks, complete with modifications for every movement, detailed sets and reps, video demonstrations, and guidance on how to progress. Plus, you can log your progress as you go to track your results. Use the code YTRISE50 for 50% off, and click the link in the description box below to learn more. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit the like button down below and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Drop a comment down below which exercise you're most excited to try from today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.